What if events went differently? What if the Winter Soldier killed Bruce Wayne's parents? What if the Winter Soldier killed the Waynes? Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, to yet another brand new episode. And in today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the Marvel and DC universe and combining a story that would change everything. Imagine if Bruce Wayne had went down a different and maybe an even darker path. Imagine if Bruce Wayne was taken in by Hydra and not taken in by like Alfred and the other people to help him become Batman. What would happen within this scenario? Well, we're finally doing this request, and I can't wait to dive into the Winter Soldier being the one who killed the Waynes. So if you guys are new to the channel and would like to see tons of more What If content, I would highly recommend that you guys subscribe, like, share, and also check out the Substack as well as my Patreon so you can get the latest updates on when What Ifs are coming out, or if you even want to request a What If, let me know what kind of What If you would like to see. But that being said, let's dive into the brand new What If episode. The Wayne family made their way back from a charity event at the Gotham Opera House, a cherished yearly tradition for Thomas and Martha Wayne and their young son, Bruce. They navigated through a narrow, dimly lit alleyway known as Crime Alley, a shortcut to their waiting vehicle. Young Bruce, at the age of 12, was brimming with excitement, recounting his favorite moments from the performance. His parents smiled, sharing in his enthusiasm. However, their joyous evening was abruptly interrupted. A figure shrouded in shadows emerged from the rooftop, leaping down with the grace and power of a panther. It was the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, still under Hydra's control, on a mission to eliminate the Wayne family due to their political influence in Gotham, which posed a threat to Hydra's interests. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, moved through the city with lethal efficiency. His target, the Waynes. Thomas Wayne, a prominent figure in Gotham's political and economic spheres, had become a threat to Hydra's plans. His philanthropic efforts and advocacy for social reforms were undermining Hydra's grip on the city's underworld and corrupt officials. Consequently, Hydra viewed him and his family as expendable. From his vantage point on the rooftop overlooking the Opera House, Bucky observed the Waynes exiting. He was a ghostly figure in the night, his cybernetic arm glinting under the moonlight. With calculated precision, he began his descent, leaping from building to building, his movements fluid and silent. As the Waynes entered Crime Alley, Bucky was already in position. He descended silently, blending into the shadows. Upon hearing a faint rustling, it was too late. The Winter Soldier emerged from the darkness, his presence imposing and chilling. Thomas Wayne, in an attempt to protect his family, stepped forward, but before he could utter a word, the Winter Soldier lunged. In a blur of motion, Bucky's metal arm encircled Thomas's throat. Bruce watched in horror. His father struggled, the sound of metal clashing against flesh echoing through the alley. Martha screamed, but Bucky's human hand silenced her with brutal efficiency, seizing her throat and hoisting her off the ground. Thomas managed to utter a single word, "Run!" before the Winter Soldier snapped his neck and turned towards Martha Wayne. With ruthless efficiency, he began slamming her skull against the wall, leaving behind a trail of blood and fragments of bone. He cast her body aside. Turning to Bruce, his cold eyes assessed the boy. For a brief moment, Bucky's conditioning wavered. A memory, a reminder of his own lost innocence, flickered. Instead of completing the mission, he made a split-second decision. Bucky took Bruce, introducing him to the hidden world of Hydra. At one of Hydra's secret bases, Bruce underwent intense training. He learned combat techniques, survival tactics, and strategic planning. Bucky pushed Bruce beyond his limits, serving as both mentor and tormentor. Bruce's natural wit and willpower allowed him to excel at an astonishing pace, driven by an insatiable thirst for revenge against those who had killed his parents. Bruce's days were filled with physical grueling and psychological torture. From hand-to-hand combat, he mastered different martial arts and weapons. His evenings were spent studying strategy, espionage, and Hydra's perverse ideology. Bruce became fluent in multiple languages, learned covert operations techniques, and honed hacking skills, making him a valuable asset to Hydra. Bucky began to see himself in Bruce. He had lost his innocence too, but he became both strict and protective toward the boy. Their relationship was complex, part mentor-protege, part surrogate fatherhood. Bucky's conditioning occasionally faded, and he had moments of clarity where he questioned Hydra's motives, but these were quickly suppressed by the organization's relentless control. As Bruce grew older, he began to take on more responsibilities within Hydra. He was assigned small missions at first: surveillance, intelligence gathering, and sabotage. Each mission honed his skills further, but also blurred his moral compass. The line between right and wrong became increasingly obscured as he delved deeper into Hydra's operations. One day, Bruce was given his first major assignment. He was to infiltrate a corporate office suspected of funding anti-Hydra activities and gather critical information. Bruce executed the mission flawlessly, using his skills to bypass security and retrieve the necessary data. Bucky, observing from a distance, felt a mix of pride and concern. He knew that Bruce was becoming an efficient operative, but he also feared what Hydra was turning him into. As Bruce's reputation within Hydra grew, so did his internal conflict. He was haunted by nightmares of his parents' murder, and tormented by the knowledge that he was working for an organization that thrived on fear and oppression. He questioned his purpose and the path he was on, but each time he pushed those doubts aside, focusing on his training and his desire for revenge. Bruce's resolve was put to the ultimate test when he was assigned a mission that required him to take a life. The target was a former Hydra scientist who had defected and was now working for a humanitarian organization. Bruce tracked the target for days, learning his routines and vulnerabilities. When the moment came, Bruce hesitated, the scientist's pleas for mercy echoing in his ears. But the conditioning and his thirst for vengeance took over, and he carried out the mission. The act of taking a life weighed heavily on Bruce. He had crossed a line, and there was no turning back. Bucky tried to console him, but the words rang hollow. Bruce was changing, and not for the better. His moral compass, already fragile, was now shattered. The boy who once dreamed of becoming a hero like his father was now a tool of Hydra, a weapon forged in the fires of grief and rage. Despite his growing darkness, there were moments of clarity. Bruce began to see cracks in Hydra's facade. He overheard conversations that hinted at internal power struggles and witnessed acts of cruelty that even he couldn't justify. These moments planted seeds of doubt in his mind. He started to question not only Hydra's motives, but also his own role within the organization. One night, after a particularly brutal mission, Bruce found himself alone in his quarters, staring at his reflection in the mirror. The face that looked back at him was no longer that of an innocent child, but a hardened operative. He realized that the path he was on would lead to his destruction if he didn't change course. But the grip of Hydra was strong, and breaking free seemed impossible. Years passed, and Bruce became a deadly assassin, known only by his codename, Nightshade. Bucky continued to mentor him, but their relationship grew complicated. Bucky's own conditioning began to fade, and he started questioning Hydra's motives. On a mission in Berlin, Bruce and Bucky were tasked with eliminating a high-ranking S.H.I.E.L.D. officer. Their target turned out to be Nick Fury's protege, a young agent named Alexander Pierce. Despite their success in infiltrating the S.H.I.E.L.D. safe house, Bruce hesitated when he had Pierce in his crosshairs. His hesitation led to Bucky taking the shot, killing Pierce and raising doubts in Bruce about their actions. Returning to Hydra headquarters, Bruce and Bucky received a new mission: eliminate a rogue agent, Natasha Romanoff, who had stolen classified intel. Their pursuit led them to a Parisian nightclub where they engaged in a fierce battle with Natasha. During the fight, a masked vigilante appeared, taking down Hydra agents with ease. The encounter left Bruce questioning his allegiance, especially as the vigilante's words echoed in his mind. "You're fighting for the wrong side, Bruce." Despite the doubts, Bruce continued to follow Hydra's orders. He completed the mission, taking down Natasha while using the vigilante's distraction. However, Bucky's concern grew as Bruce's actions became increasingly ruthless. Back at Hydra headquarters, Bruce and Bucky were assigned to infiltrate a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility and steal a powerful artifact. As they planned their approach, Bruce began to notice strange occurrences. Equipment malfunctioned, and whispers of a mole spread through the ranks. Determined to uncover the truth, Bruce investigated the rumors, suspecting a connection to the masked vigilante's warnings. His investigation led him to a hidden server room, where he discovered a cryptic message indicating the presence of a traitor within Hydra. Bruce, with Bucky's reluctant help, continued to gather intel. They uncovered shocking information. Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce's trusted butler, was the mole. Alfred's true allegiance lay with S.H.I.E.L.D., and he had been feeding them intel on Hydra's operations. Feeling betrayed, Bruce confronted Alfred. The showdown was tense, with Alfred standing firm in his beliefs. Bucky intervened, suggesting they use Alfred's position to their advantage and work from within to take down Hydra. Bruce, feeling conflicted but determined, agreed to Bucky's plan. They devised a strategy to sabotage Hydra's Operation Eclipse, which aimed to disrupt global stability. As they prepared, Bruce's resolve wavered. The realization that he had been used by Hydra for their own gain began to sink in. During the operation, Bruce participated in the global assault, targeting key figures and destabilizing governments. However, each mission deepened his doubts. The masked vigilante, revealed to be a young Tony Stark, reached out to Bruce, urging him to stop Hydra before it was too late. Bruce chose to heed Stark's warning. He turned against Hydra, sabotaging their plans from within. Bucky and Alfred, now allies, joined him in the fight. The battle was fierce, with Bruce facing off against Hydra's top agents. In a climactic showdown, Bruce confronted the Winter Soldier, now fully under Hydra's control. The fight was brutal, with Bruce ultimately defeating Bucky and freeing him from Hydra's grasp. With Hydra's plans thwarted, Bruce was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered life. The world began to rebuild, but the scars of his past lingered. Bruce, once a pawn in Hydra's game, had become something more. He had transformed from a vengeful orphan into a man with a mission, but his path to redemption was far from clear. As he lay recovering from his final confrontation with Hydra, Bruce was haunted by visions of his past. He saw his parents' faces, the cold eyes of the Winter Soldier, and the twisted machinations of Hydra. These images fueled his nightmares, but they also strengthened his resolve. He knew he could no longer run from his past. He had to face it head on. Bruce spent months in isolation. healing both physically and mentally. During this time, he forged a new identity. He adopted the mantle of the Dark Knight, a vigilante dedicated to protecting Gotham City from the shadows. With the help of Alfred, now fully trusted once more, Bruce began to build a network of allies. He reached out to Tony Stark, who provided him with advanced technology and resources to aid his mission. Gotham City, still reeling from the chaos unleashed by Hydra's eclipse, was a city in need of a hero. Crime rates had soared, and corruption was rampant. The police force was stretched thin, and the city's underworld had grown bolder. Bruce knew that to truly save Gotham, he would have to become a symbol of hope and fear, a beacon of justice in a city lost to darkness. Bruce's first task as the Dark Knight was to dismantle the remnants of Hydra's influence in Gotham. He used his knowledge of their operations to strike at their hidden bases, crippling their power structure. Each mission was a test of his resolve, and with each victory he gained the trust of Gotham's citizens. But Bruce's journey was not without its challenges. He encountered old enemies and new threats. Among them was a rising crime lord known as Black Mask, who sought to fill the power vacuum left by Hydra. Black Mask's ruthlessness and intelligence made him a formidable adversary, but Bruce knew he had to bring him to justice. Bruce's war against crime extended beyond Gotham's borders. He traveled the world, tracking down former Hydra operatives and dismantling their networks. Along the way, he encountered other heroes and vigilantes, forming alliances that would prove crucial in the battles to come. His encounters with heroes like Black Widow and Captain America reminded him of the fine line between vengeance and justice. Despite his successes, Bruce's past continued to haunt him. The psychological scars left by Hydra and his time as Nightshade were deep. He often found himself questioning his methods and his motivations. Was he truly fighting for justice, or was he still driven by a desire for revenge? These questions gnawed at him, threatening to undermine his mission. One night, while patrolling the city, Bruce encountered a new threat: the Scarecrow. Armed with fear-inducing toxins, the Scarecrow sought to plunge Gotham into chaos by exploiting its darkest fears. The Scarecrow's attacks hit Bruce particularly hard, forcing him to confront his deepest insecurities and regrets. Under the influence of the Scarecrow's toxins, Bruce relived the most traumatic moments of his life. He saw his parents' murder, his time with Hydra, and his betrayal by Alfred. But amidst the darkness, he also saw moments of light: his parents' love, Alfred's unwavering loyalty, and the friendships he had forged. These visions reminded him of why he had become the Dark Knight in the first place. Determined to overcome his fears, Bruce confronted the Scarecrow in a final showdown. Using his training and his willpower, he resisted the effects of the toxins and defeated the villain. The victory was a turning point for Bruce, reinforcing his belief in his mission and his ability to overcome his past. With the Scarecrow defeated, Bruce turned his attention to rebuilding Gotham. He worked closely with Commissioner James Gordon, a man of integrity and one of the few people Bruce trusted completely. Together, they implemented reforms within the police force, rooting out corruption and strengthening the city's defenses. Bruce also focused on his role as Bruce Wayne, using his wealth and influence to support social programs and community initiatives. He established the Wayne Foundation, which funded education, healthcare, and crime prevention programs. Through his dual identities, Bruce sought to address the root causes of Gotham's problems, tackling both crime and its underlying social issues. As the Dark Knight, Bruce faced new challenges and forged new alliances. He mentored young vigilantes, including a talented street kid named Dick Grayson, who would become his first Robin. With Robin by his side, Bruce's fight against crime became even more effective, and Gotham's criminals learned to fear the Bat and the Bird. But despite his successes, Bruce remained vigilant. He knew that his mission was never truly over. Gotham would always need its Dark Knight, and he would be there to protect it. The memories of his past continued to shape him, serving as a reminder of the fine line between heroism and villainy. Years later, Bruce Wayne stood on the rooftop of Wayne Tower, looking out over the city he had sworn to protect. Gotham had changed, but so had he. The boy who had once sought revenge had become a man dedicated to justice. The orphan who had been molded by Hydra had become the Dark Knight, a symbol of hope and resilience. As the city slept, Bruce felt a sense of peace. His journey had been long and painful, but he had found his purpose. He knew that there would always be new threats and new challenges, but he was ready. He was the Dark Knight, and he would never stop fighting for Gotham. In the distance, the bat signal shone brightly in the night sky, a beacon of hope for a city that had endured so much. Bruce smiled, knowing that as long as the signal burned, he would be there to answer its call. The Dark Knight's quest for redemption and justice was far from over, but he was ready for whatever the future held. And that is going to be it for What If the Waynes Were Murdered by the Winter Soldier. What if the Waynes were killed by the Winter Soldier? Now, this is a different what if, and it's crazy to think that in this version of events, somehow, some way, Bruce Wayne managed to still become a different version of Batman. Maybe not the one that we know. This one might be a little bit more ruthless, he might actually kill people, but this version of Batman is totally different from all the other ones, as he went through the events of Hydra and all of that too. So it's just very interesting to see, and I was very excited to do this what if scenario and really go in depth with the Winter Soldier and all that type of stuff. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys would like to see more what if scenarios, what would you like to see next? I know that I really want to tackle what if Howard Stark was never murdered by the Winter Soldier. I think that one would be very interesting. But again, thank you guys so much. Do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. Take care and have a wonderful day. Peace out.